Screen roll. Okay. Hello, class. Only see one person, Mr. Matthew Mankoff, that has signed in. Mr. Mankoff, you might want to sign the roll. So go ahead on and try to sign the roll. If you do have issues trying to sign the roll, just email me and let me know if you have any issues. But you should be able to sign. I remove the restrictions off of it. Okay, so. Hello, I hear someone out there. Hello?
Hello.
Yes. Who is this?
This Hannah Denham.
Oh, Dunham, Miss Dunham. How you doing, Miss Dunham?
Good.
I can't. Where you normally sit in the classroom?
On the right side for the second semester.
Oh, okay. You the one from Terra?
Yes, sir.
All the way to the wall, toward the wall.
No, that's right, Jay. I'm the one in the middle.
You the one that's what?
In the middle.
Oh, okay. All right. Y'all been all right?
Yes, sir.
That's good. You been doing my work or trying to do my work?
Yes, sir.
All right. You you tried to sign the roll?
No, that's what I forgot.
Yeah, go ahead on and sign the roll. I should be able to see everybody at one time. Nope. You been watching the videos?
Yes, sir. Well, no.
Oh, yeah, because what I did, I posted some videos at the bottom of the playlist,
Yes,
and
sir.
yeah, and also took that same playlist and put it as a module in Canvas, so you could either get to it from the SYL page, or you could look at it from within Canvas. But I did go ahead and I tried to make them brief, but some of them still like maybe 45-minute long or 30 minutes long. But I tried to make them shorter. I'm trying to wait till most people sign on in. I guess some people are not.
Some people in here is just that they
They,
have my mic.
oh, they didn't put the speaker on. Okay. All right. So did you sign the roll?
Okay, so
Because if you could sign it, then everybody else can.
forgot my last four digits of the thing. Yeah.
From your L number, yeah. You having issues?
I forgot my username for it.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna try to pull it up. You can see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me. I'm gonna go to the SY. I'm trying to pull it up. Okay, let's see the information. And what's your name again, Miss?
Oh, I forgot the dash one.
Oh, you. Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna go to that screen real quick. Let's see. Go back. I just forgot everything about school. Okay, Miss. What it is? Last name? Oh, D. Oh, oh. What's your last name?
Then,
There you go. Look. You see it?
yes, sir.
All right. You got it?
Yes, sir.
All right. So let me know if you log in.
I logged in. It let us sign. It let me sign the rule.
All right. Okay. So hopefully everybody else, I didn't get any kind of feedback. Everybody else was able to sign. It's 10 after or 9 after. So let's kind of get started. So the first thing, like I said, I want you to sign a roll like every Monday, 10 o'clock till what 10, I think it's 10:45. You all can sign the roll. So log in, sign the roll. And I know they made the classes online, but what I'll try to do is every Monday, every class period, get online and kind of go over some stuff and work with you, answer questions. All right. So if we look at go back here to our class. If you notice, I told you that I created a module here. And normally when you log in, if you click on modules, you'll get this page and see where it say video lectures. It's the same playlist that's on the SYL site. So if I click here, it should give me the playlist. If it comes up, my system running slow this morning. Why is that? All right. So the playlist comes up, and you just click on this little library icon here, and you'll get and you can scroll down to all of the videos. And what I did all of the videos for the different sections to the end of chapter 4. So if we look at just say conditional operators, You know, I just went ahead and did the lecture. Hello, class. And see. This section is on conditional operators. Right. It says you can use the conditional operator to create short expressions. All right. And what I normally did, if else, for most of them, I also showed you the example that was in the book, and I also created an example in online GDB. So hopefully that can kind of give you some insight as to how those commands in C++ does work. All right. If we go back to modules, y'all had those assignments to work on. All right. So let's look at the assignments, and then I can go and I guess talk about some of the different sections in the book. Let's say, so here we had chapter 4, program 1. All right. So we look at this program. So this program said to write a program that asks the user to enter the monthly cost for the following expenses incurred from operating a vehicle. All right. And then I gave you the different itemized list: loan payment, insurance, gas, oil, tires, and maintenance. Okay. So if you look down here, you would have a prompt that would probably have please enter loan payment, whatever the loan payment is. Please enter insurance cost. You enter insurance cost. Please enter gas cost. Enter gas cost. Please enter oil, the cost of oil. On and on and on and on. All right, up until maintenance. Now, once you input all those values for those variables, then you are to calculate a total, all right, of all of those different expenses for, a month. Now, like I say, this is just a program, so you don't have to be too specific, but you want to test it, with numbers to see if it actually works. All right. So once you input all these numbers, then you need to output them, calculate a total, output the total. But if you go back to the program, it says that, you got to label each cost when you output it. But it says the program should then, once you input the data, should display the total monthly cost. So you're going to display what you inputted back out to me, plus the total monthly cost. Okay? Now, then you're supposed to give me a projected total annual cost. Now, annual means how many months? 12 months. So you're going to take this 1 month's cost, multiply it times 12, and get a total. All right. But once you get that total, you have to do some things. All right. So this is just an explanation. It says label each cost. So anything that you list, you're giving it you labeling and telling me what it actually is. Yearly total, 10% of that total, grand total. All right. So I want everything labeled, insurance, what it was. So if the yearly total, so this is with our if statement, we're on this section dealing with if. If the yearly total, all right, which is this cost, right? This is our monthly cost, $563.23. If our yearly total, which we had to multiply this to get by 12 to get this, if this total is greater than 1,000, okay, then we're going to multiply that particular amount by 10%, all right? And then we're going to find out what that 10% cost is. So I want you to write it in a certain way. I don't want you to just write it out and give me the 10% total and print the 10% total. I want what that percentage is, and then you're going to add the 10% to that yearly cost and give me a grand total. Now, if that yearly total is less than 1,000, it does not say to add 10%. This 10% should be 0. So that should be then, if the yearly total is like, say, $996, then this should be 0 and grand total should be 900 and whatever dollars. Okay, so that's the program. So I'll give you an example. If we go to online GDB, let's take this out. This is a little program that we kind of looked at before. So I could take this information out. And basically what I'm telling you to do is something like this. Really, for dollar amounts, float, and then we'll say, I'll just say insurance, comma, gas. All right, and I'll just say oil. All right, I'll just do those three. I'm not gonna do all of them, all right? But then we need a what? Total, all right? 10%, we could what? If we know we're using 10%, we can create a constant variable called constant, and we could say tax, all right? And equals, not int, my fault, float tax equals 0.10, right? 10%, you move the decimal place 2 points to the left to get the percentage. All right, so now we have a constant variable here. So what? Now I would have something like somewhere where you're inputting values. And because it is just a shortcut, all right, I'm just putting comments. So you have something like cout, insurance cost, all right, then what? CN what? Insurance, because insurance is my what? My variable, right? Okay, then what? Cout, input, gas cost, and CN. So you see what's happening? You're inputting those values into a variable. But now you know we probably would need another variable because we would need what? We got total cost. I'll say monthly total. This would be monthly total, M total. And then I could do what? Y total. And then I can do something like C total. Just like overall calculated total. All right, so those are some of those variables. So now, because I need all those to output all the information that I asked you for. Then what? Cout /n input oil. Okay, all costs. And I could say for the month, etc. But okay, oil cost and CN oil. All right. Now, this is going to allow the data to be inputted into the variables. Now we need to actually output what we need to output. Now, we can do it two ways. We can go ahead on and output the insurance, gas, and oil, and then do our calculations and output our remaining outputs, which would be our monthly total cost, our yearly total cost, and our percentage. I need the percentage also. And then a total, okay? And I'll just say T cost, tax total, or tax total. All right, so now what happens here, I can do it that way, or I could just go ahead on and calculate. So I could say what? M total, which would be my monthly total, would be equal to what? Insurance plus gas, which would be the gas cost, plus oil. Now, that's going to calculate or add all of those figures and then store it into the monthly total. But once we calculate monthly total, now we need to calculate the what? Our yearly total. Yearly total would be what? Y total is equal to what? M total times what? 12. So we calculated for 1 month, but now we're doing like a cost estimate for 12 months. Like I say, our gas total might change, but we just doing a estimated cost. All right. So now we got that. Now, what we need to do, we need to determine whether or not we have to what? Add 10%. So what? Now we could say what? Our tax cost, tax total, all right. Well, first of all, let's set it to equal 0 because what? Oh, we don't have to. Yeah. Well, what you'd have to do here, you would do an if statement because you're gonna only what? Calculate your tax cost if your total yearly total is greater than 1,000. All right. Now, did I say greater than or equal to or greater than? That's something you're gonna have to figure out when you go back and look at the assignment, because I will grade you on that. All right. But here I'm gonna just give the example greater than. All right. So if Y total, and we'll just say greater than 1,000, but you go ahead on and make sure you read the assignment and see if I say greater than or equal to. So if yearly total is greater than 1,000, then what? Then we want to say what? Yearly total greater than 1,000. We want to say what? T total is equal to Y year total times what? Times our tax. All right. So that's gonna multiply 10% times whatever. So like say if we had $10, $10 times 0.10 should give us the what? $1. All right. Moving the decimal over two places. All right. Now, so what we do here is now we close this. It should have been closed. All right, it is closed. All right, we close this, and then we do an else. Because what? If the T total is, if yearly total is not greater than 1,000, then we want to set what? Our what? T total to equal to what? Just equal it to 0, right? Because what? It's not greater than 1,000, all right? All right, so now, it should be already there. Okay, so now I have the yearly total, monthly total. I've calculated the yearly total. I've calculated T total, whether or not the yearly total is greater than or less than. But now I need to calculate the overall total, all right? So that would be what? This would be C total is equal to what? We got yearly total, and then we're gonna add what? Tax total. All right, so equal Y total plus tax total or T total. All right, now I didn't use all of the variables. Remember, I just used those three, oil, gas, and insurance. All right, but you're gonna have, I think it's 7 to 8 different categories. All right, so I've calculated all my variables. Now I could just do the simple C out. And remember, we went over the using Ironman IP. You can set your decimal places. Make sure you set your decimal places to 2 decimal places using the set precision, fix, and to 2. All right. Also, like I say, you can line it. I want you to align the numbers to the right, the labels to the left, so that it can be somewhat just unified. So here we go. I'm gonna say C out, and I don't have the Ironman IP. You should know how to do that. That'll be extra code for me, but I'm just trying to write out the information. I'll say /n/n, I'll say insurance cost. Okay. And then I'll say insurance, wrong way. All right, then see out the gas costs. Like I say, you would use what? Set W before gas costs, and then a set W, and then right for the amount and all this. So, but you said that, and then I'll say gas. All right, and line, and then see out oil costs. Okay, and then oil, and then in line, and then what? Now we want to see out what? Our what? This would be our total, our monthly total. Okay, monthly total. And notice what happens here, and that's what I'm telling you. When I do these costs, when I do these labels here, this would make my numbers be jagged, and we'll see that. But I want you to have them in a straight line. Okay, monthly costs and M cost, M total, right? So you got to remember what your variable names are. All right. Then what? After the monthly total, I want you to print out the yearly total. See out. And this will be yearly total. And I'm just putting a space after. Yearly total. All right. And then I'll see out whether or not it's 10%, 10% cost. All right. Whether or not there's a cost for the 10%. And now do the what? The 10% is T total. All right. And then what? It would be our what? Actual C total for the final total. All right. And so this would be calculated total. I'll just say total. All right. I'll just say calculated. Okay. And this would be C total. All right. So now, and then what? We have our program return 0, and then we end it. So what we did, we actually declared our variables. We even had our constant variable, declared our variables. We inputted values for the 3 variables that we needed, but then we calculated the 3 unknowns, all right, which was monthly, well, really 4, monthly, yearly, the taxable, and then the taxes and the total, and the calculated total. So let's run this. And hopefully I have all the errors out, and it should tell me if I have errors. So I'll run this, see what we get. So it says enter insurance cost. If my insurance cost is say my insurance cost is $185. All right. Gas cost. So I spent $300 monthly, and then my oil cost sometimes depending on say $10. And even though I put 300, when I output it, when you run the program, if you use the IOMAN IP dealing with the set with the set precision and fix, 300 should still come out as 300.00. Okay, got to remember that. So I hit enter. So if you look here, what happened? The insurance was $185.28. The gas cost was $300. The oil cost was $10. So the monthly total cost was $495.28. Now, I had to calculate a yearly total. So if I'm spending on an average $495.28 a month for a year, it averages out to $5,943.36. So I had to get the 10% of that. And if 10% of that, it really just moving the decimal place one to the right. I said two, but it's one. All right. And so that would be what, $594.33. All right. And see here, your Ironman IP header file with the fixed decimal would fix this and also fix this. So it added the 5,943.36 to the $594.33, and you got $6,537.70. So that's the program in short. If I run it again, all right. So when I run it again, I'll say I'll put for the insurance. I paid the insurance 2 months at a time, but at this time my insurance was zero. All right, I'll just say $10. My gas card cost I carpooled, so say it's $25. And say the all cost, say my car brand new or whatever didn't burn off. I'll say say $1. All right. So look what happened here. Okay, so the monthly cost was $36 on average. Yearly cost, 36 times 12 is $423, $32. All right. So then I had to determine whether or not this value was greater than 1,000. It wasn't. So what? We assigned zero to that 10%. And so what? Our actual calculated cost is the same, which is $432.00. So, does anybody have any questions about this particular program? All right. And like I said, I do have the lectures on the if logic. If you wanted to go back and look at the book and the information that was in the book. Okay. So that's one program. So hopefully you'll be able to do that program. So that's this one. The next program, they'll get somewhat more complicated because you're dealing with different type of ifs. Or you're dealing with if, just dealing with just the if and the if else. And then, all right. So now let's look at this one. I won't go into much detail with this one in that I would tell you in this one, many of you, if you're doing this one, you'd probably want to use the modulus to actually calculate what you need for this information to get the feet and inches. Because what? This says write a program that will prompt the user to input a length in inches, all right, of two distances, not just one, of two. So this example, they inputted 90 inches and 22 inches. So you inputted the information, the two distances. Now you have to add those two distances together. So even if I put 10 and 10, I should come out with what? 20 inches. And then what? 20 inches is what? What is that? 12 going to 20 one time with what? Say what? 8 remainder. All right. So that's 12, 1 foot, 8 inches. All right. If it was 20. All right. So this one, the example is 90 and 22. So 90 inches and 22 inches give a total of 122 inches. Then you have to take those inches and convert them to feet and inches. So what happens? To find feet, I need to find out how many times 12 goes into what? 112. So to do that without getting any remainder, I would use the what? The modulus, all right? But if I wanted to find out the remainder, which was the remainder would be in inches, I can still what? Use the modulus and just then in turn multiply and subtract. Okay, but there's several ways you can do it to try to get the answer. All right, but it also, once you calculate the feet and inches from this added distance here, now I told you you need to go in and find convert that value in inches to meters and centimeters. So now, just like you converted 112 to feet and inches, now you have to convert, and like I said, just written on two different lines as opposed to inches, feet and inches on the same line here. So you got to convert this 112 inches to meters and centimeters. Okay, so you have to know that formula. All right, how many centimeters is in how many meters is in how many inches is in a meter? All right, so you got to meters in those total inches. So you got to figure that out. All right, basically the same way you did this. So you're gonna maybe have to put your thinking cap on. Then you're gonna have a remainder, and the remainder is a certain value. But the thing is, what you could do, and like I said, there's several ways you do it based on how you do your research. You can actually convert 112 inches to what? To centimeters. And then when you have your centimeters, convert this to meters and then subtract the value of this time, whatever the meters are, and get your remaining centimeters. But it's all up to you as to how you calculate your function. But then, and like I said, I'm not in the program itself, but I'm showing you down here what to do. But this worded part here is the exact same thing. So it says if this calculated figure here, value here, it says if not greater than 3 feet, all right, well, which is this. If this value here is not greater than 3 feet, okay, your output should look at the following. 32 inches is equal to how many miles? So now you got to do the miles, inches in the mile, all right, so which is another formula. So I'm just kind of giving you an idea. Sometimes you have to go and do your research and calculate these numbers, and sometimes these numbers may be large and sometimes they may be small. So if we look here, it tells you where's that if statement? And see, it's talking about right align, left align, so make sure you do all that. If the total distance is not greater than 3 feet, so they're asking you, if this is not greater than 3 feet, convert the total inches to inches in miles, all right? So if I have 3 inches, convert that to miles, which can be done. It'll be a small number, but it can be done, okay? It says output the title metric conversion of blank inches, where the question marks is the total inches, okay? And it says format the numbers where the decimal place, where there's 1 decimal place. So if you notice here with the metric, you got 1 decimal place, 1 decimal place, all right? And then it says right align the numbers with the column width of 10 and left align the labels meter and centimeter with a column width of 5, okay? Leaving a space between the number and the label. And this is example 2.0, got a space and then meters, all right? So that's that program. But you're gonna have to know how to do conversions, and if not, you have to research it and do your conversions, all right? And make sure you check your work before you submit it, okay? Make sure you do your checks. And like I say, you got your if statements. Normally I put them at the end. Now this program, this one is more or less with the if, else, if, and it's also with the combination of if this is this and this is this, or if this is this or this is this. So now you're dealing with and or, okay? So this says to write a program that will allow a user to enter one number between 10 and 30. Okay, and I ask my class this. If a number is between 10 and 30, it's not what? 10 and 30. You're excluding 10 and 30, all right? So, but so you gotta watch the language, all right, that's given. So I would have something like, if I'm writing that code for that particular wording there, I would have something like this. So I'll take this out. I'll just leave that. I'll leave on this. Take this off. All right. So if I had something like, say, CN insurance, but then I'll say insurance can't be less than, it has to be between 10 and 30. I'll have something like, if insurance is greater than 10, right? And insurance less than 30. Everybody understand that? Because what? It says in between 10 and 30. If I type 10, that should make it false and kick out and do the false, not be included, all right? So this statement right here will only allow me to enter the values if, well, it's float, 10.5 and above to 29.8, because it is what? Float. But if it was int, I would only be able to enter the values 11, 12, 13, 14, all the way to 29. 30 would make it false. Okay, so you got to be able to read through your problem and understand what it's saying. So it say between these numbers, not including these numbers. So it says, now this is where you have to do your logic. If the number is outside the range, output invalid number has been entered. So you're looking at, if you go back to your logic, you're going to have, okay, a true condition, right? But it says if the number is not, that's where you do the else, and then you'll put what? See out. All right, so you're gonna have to try to read the program, read the assignment, and write your program accordingly. You could write your flow chart. Your flow chart will help you. But what? If that number does not meet this requirement, automatically you outputting this. All right. So that means what? All that other logic that we're going to talk about is going to be within this portion of the program. Okay. Everything else we're talking about, all of this, all right, from this point on, if a valid number has been entered, so that means if it's true, like 11 through 29, all right, allow the user to enter a code of A, B, or C. Now, class, if I told you, let's change it. If I told you to enter code of A, B, or C, A, the letter A, B, the letter B, C, the letter B, each one of those are just what? A single what? Character, right? So what would be the data type for when you read in that? All right, that would be what? Char, all right? So if I say char letter, all right? So that means what? Letter can only be of what? A single character. And what? When I reference or assign a letter to that particular variable called letter, I have to put it in single quotes, not double quotes. All right. So down here, I would ask what? If letter is equal to what? Single quotes A. You understand? So I did the capital A. Now we're not doing uppercase or lowercase if it's capital A. But let's look at our program. It says if it's valid, all right, if it's a valid number, which means 11 through 30, all right, if it has been entered, allow the user to enter a code of A, B, C, or D. Now, you got to read through this. If an invalid code is entered, output an invalid code has been entered. All right, again, same difference. All right, when we go to the program here, we want what? If letter is equal to A, but what else? We're going to say what? We'll use what? Or. Because what? Now we need to, I told you I want you to input a, B, or a C, all right? Or a letter equals to B, right? Or letter equals to C. Now, what it say? I have to do something here, but what? Else. And then this is where what? See out. All right, so see here. So now what? Given this, all right, so now what? All the logic that we're dealing with now is going to be up in here because what? If this is false, it's going to perform this, and then it's going to kick all the way out. So you see how reading instructions, building your program based upon how the instructions are given. And like I say, you can write your flow chart so you can actually see what's going on, or you can actually read through it, write the code. But then look what happened. Now you done check to see if it's A, B, or C, or D. But now you got something else. It says, so A, B, and C are valid. Now it's saying using the value 28.82. In here, the example shows 2.2, right? But you're going to use the 28.2, all right? And you're going to add 5 if the code is A. The example shows here the 22.2, but you're going to use the 28.2. And if it's a B or C, depending on the value that was in it, you're going to add 7.2, or you're going to add 100, or you're going to add 10, all right, to 28.2. So you need to read through this and figure out. I done got you started, so hopefully this can help you in getting my program done. And I just took a program, that other program that we was working with to modify it. But insurance, we changed. Well, I didn't change it to int, but it should be int. And then, like I say, this would be when you enter a value between 10 and 30. If it falls in here, then you got to see if a letter code. Oh, and one thing I did not do here, because if we checking the code, you would have to do something like see out and somebody enter code, right? And then we'll do CN letter, right? And then based on if letter is whatever, then you're doing whatever, all right? So you input the insurance amount, check and see if it's greater than or less than. If it's between this, then you're going in here, inputting the code. If the code is what? A, B, or C, you're doing this. Otherwise, you're performing this. Okay? So you got to be, or like I said, you could enter the code in the letter on the outside, and then it'll fall in and check. All right. Either way you do it, it's okay. All right. So that's that program. All right. And if you have any questions, you need to ask me. Let me know something. All right. And if you got to put your decimal values and make sure you follow the remaining instructions. All right, I think that was the last one. Yeah, because this dealing with data files. You're not dealing with that yet. That's later on in the chapter. All right. So now, does anybody have any type questions? All right, any questions? All right. Now, what I can do, I can actually look at the notes. Let's go to the notes. We have our notes here. All right, and let's see what this section is on. All right. Well, let's talk about the braces. All right. So if you're using the if statement, remember I said you don't have to. If you got one line of code, to perform within the if, you don't have to use the braces, but it's good practice, all right? Because if you have to go back and modify it and you add a line, you might forget that you need the braces. And all that means is, say for this particular situation, this says else do this. If I just have one statement, I don't really need those braces. It'll perform that and it'll continue. But sometimes you can get confused. So I'd say always, put your curly braces so you'll know exactly where you are and where your levels are. So I know that what else, and all of this goes with the else. If I need to add another statement with my else statement, another see out, a computation or whatever, I know it would go what in between that body. All right. But you don't have to if it's just one line. Right. But I would do it for precautionary measures. Okay. Now, if else. Now the if else statement, we did an if else in this previous program. Just now, just showed you. If whatever the expression is, perform a block or a statement, but I would put them in a block. Else, perform something else. If it's true, if this expression is true, perform this. If it's not true, perform that. Simple as that. That's a if else. And that's this program. And notice they don't have the curly braces. Curly braces because they're just what? Performing one statement for this if and one statement for this else. That's totally valid. There's nothing wrong with it. All I'm telling you is it can get confusing when you start adding to your program. All right. If we look here, nested if. Now, that program we just looked at was a nested if. Look, if insurance is greater than 10 and insurance less than 30, we did something. If such and such. So see, this if is inside this nested if, inside this if, which makes it nested or inside of that if. You have an if within an if that's nested. And you can have several levels of nested ifs. Okay? So that's what nested ifs are. But you got to be careful. Like I said, this else goes with this if. All right? This else goes with this if. So when insurance is not greater than 10 or it is not greater than less than 30, it will fall down here to this else, not this else. All right, it'll fall all the way down here saying invalid number has been entered. Okay. And I think I got this. I could run this letter. I could run it. I don't have logic here, but I got everything straight. But I'm going to run it and I'm going to type an invalid value. Okay, run it. And I'm going to show you that outer if. So it's going to ask me for a number, a cost. So I'll put in 2. 2 is not greater than 10, but then 2 is 2 is not greater than 10. Okay, which make this false, and I have an and. Okay, this side will be true, but false and true still yield what? False. So I should get an invalid number. Well, wait. Insurance. If insurance is greater than 10, no, it's not. Why? Oh, it's still doing this part here. Input cost for gas. All right, I'll put 2, and I'll put 2. Now watch. See, an invalid number has been entered. It just asked for those 2 because they were still up in the program. But when it got to the if statement, it went to the what? To that else logic because what? Insurance was not greater than 10. Right? Or when it was less than, but it wasn't greater than. So it went to this else and said what? An invalid number has been entered. It skipped all of this information. Whatever I have here, it won't even execute. Automatically, that number is invalid. Okay? And notice, this is a nested if, where you have employee, if it's equal to yes, true, then it asks if recent grad is equal to yes. So that would be an if for this and then this if would be inside of that if, which would make it nested, okay? And if we look at the code here, look here, if employee equals yes or Y, then inside of here, if recent grad equal Y. So you have an if within an if, which would be a nested if, all right? And I do have lectures on this section, so you'll be able to look at the if-else statement, all right? Now, and like I say, basically the same thing, nested if, all right? And you can go over it later, all right? Nested if, yeah. Now, programming style, like I say, of the nested ifs, okay? And I talked about that earlier. You don't want to have everything, like say, see all these curly braces? You don't want to have them all on the same, in the same column. Will it cause an error? No, it will not. The only thing it'll do is kind of make it hard to know what the levels are. Well, this else I know goes here, but I can't readily look at the if. Okay, does this curly brace here goes with that if, or does it goes with the else? So you understand? But if you have your levels, it'll make it much easier to understand. So look at this program. So now you can see what? This is where my if begins. This is my true for the if end. This level. Here's where the if begin. Here ends. My else begin end. This else begin end for this if. So I'm just saying, it's not gonna cause an error in your program. It just make it harder to read and to debug. All right. And look, this would be nested ifs. If score is greater than or equal 90, okay, true, we finish, but nested. If score is greater than or equal to 80, true, we jumping out, we finish, but if not, we got to nest it. So what? We got what? 1, 2, 3, 3 levels, 3 levels of a nested if. All right, we have if, then we got 1 level, 2 levels, 3 level, and then a default. All right, so that's nested ifs. All right, all right. And so here, this just the same thing. They just showing you examples that you could work on. Now, you have if, else, if. All right. So rather than just saying if A is greater than B, add 1 to A, else add 1 to B. Now it's saying if A is greater than B, add 1 to A, else if B is greater than whatever, do whatever. So you don't just have a if, else. You have a if, else, if. So you're asking another question under that else. So look at this. If, whatever the expression is, we're going to do this if it's true. But rather than just say else, do something, we saying else, and then we asking the if again. So we asking that question again. All right. So this is also recorded, and I have it listed, and you could look at that too. But look at this. So what happens is it say if test score is greater than or equal to a score. Now what they did, they made each one of these variables here constant. A score is 90. So I guess a 90 is and above is an A. 80 and above is a B. 70 and above is a C. And 60 and above is a D. And anything below is an F. So what they did, they said, okay, if test score, which whatever you input for a test score, is greater than or equal to 90, because A score is 90, then we're going to give them that grade. But rather than do that, we're going to do else if, right? Rather than else test score is greater than whatever, else test score is B. Nope, we need to test it. So else if test score is greater than or equal to B, then we want to do something. But if that's false, else if test score is greater than or equal to C, we're going to do something. But if not, else if test score is greater than or equal to the D, which is a 60. All right, we're going to do this. But if it's not, if it failed all these conditions, then we have just a simple else that will be a default and we'll do something, which here it would print a grade is F. Okay, so that's the if, else, if. Okay, it's going to continually to test until it get to the last one, which would be the default, and it'll just do something else stop. All right. Um. Um. So it's saying using the trailing else to catch an error, and that's what you just did with the score in a sense. You know, everything was else if, else if, else if. So if your grade was not a 90, it was not an 80, it was not a 70, it was not a 60, we don't have to do any more tests because what? We know it's 59 and below, and 59 below is an F. So, well, really they did the F score. So they did greater than equal to 0. So they did that part. But if it wasn't say the 90, 80, 70, 60, or if it wasn't greater than or equal to 0, all right, then they said what? Invalid score. So what that means is if a person put in like a -5, a -2, -1,000, anything below 0, it would give you a invalid test score. And then when we get to the next chapter where we're dealing with loops, a loop will allow you to run that code again and say, oh, you have an invalid code entered. Please enter a score between 0 and 100. So you would be able to prompt the user, hey, you messed up, redo it. All right, but that's in the next chapter. But we have to understand and learn the if first before we can get into the loop process. Okay. So, and like I say, it talks about the if-else, if compared to the nested decision. And like I say, they both will work, but it just tells you when you use the nested part, it can cause you to have various levels of coding. And it could be a disadvantage when you're actually viewing the information that they have to scroll all the way to the screen, etc. All right, so it makes it a little harder to debug. All right, but is it wrong? No, it's not wrong, but you can do it. We talked about flags. All right. Well, I have a video clip on flags. Now, if you notice, the flag deal with a bool variables, all right, a Boolean variables. And a bool, remember, variable we said can be what? On, off, yes, no, true, false, 1 or 0. All right. So with the bool value, if I set something equal to false, but then I can also set it equal to what? True. If I set something to be on, I can set it to be off. So it could be either one of those values. I can set it to be 1, and I can set it to be 0. All right. So if we look here, if sales quota, all right, well, if sales is greater than or equal to sales quota, all right, what they're doing is they setting sales quota met to true. So what that means is, hey, there is a sales quota. All right. I mean, the sales quota was met, so they're going to assign true, and in a sense 1 to sales quota met. All right. If not, they're going to assign false, which would be 0 to sales quota met. All right. But they have that value of true, false, or either 1 or 0. All right. Because anytime you have an expression, normally, like say, when you have an if logic, if it performs a true part, this yield to be 1. If you have a else if it doesn't hold true, then it would yield to be 0. All right. So you can look at that video, and it goes deeper into detail because it then talking about integer flags. So just like you have true, false, on, off, you can have 0 and 1. All right, same difference. Whereas you say if sales quota, and it's the exact same code as above, this is set to Boolean, Boolean variable. Sales quota is greater than, sales is greater than or equal to a quota amount, then what? Sales quota met equals 1. Okay, so that means yes, there's a sale. You met your sales quota. L0. Well, you didn't meet your sales quota. All right. So, and then here it asks the question: if sales quota met, and if you read through this, you'll understand this is an expression where it's asking if this value is anything other than 0. Okay. If I ask this question, it could be on a variable of an amount I have. If that amount, an example I use, like say a bank. If I had was writing code for a bank and we was dealing with balances, our bank balance, like say a person bank balance, and we say if balance, we don't have to say if balance equals 0. We could just if balance is greater than 0. If balance, that means if they have anything in there, even if they have a negative balance, it would be true, right? So, and you can print out what it is. But if their balance is 0, if I just have if balance, then it would say false, because this asking if it's true. If balance, all right? If it's true, if balance is true. If anything other than a 0 would make it true, a 0 would make it false. All right. And you read through that and look at the video, and it'll help you understand that logic. And I even gave an example of a program that you could look at. And then we have the and or. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give you a quiz. I'm gonna post a quiz on the and or. I might post some other quizzes to kind of keep you into your assignments, doing your work. The and the or, and the not. We'll look at the not, but the and the or. Like I said, we kind of looked at it, but we didn't actually go in detail. If we go back here and we look at the and the or, I went too far. If we look at the and the or, look at this Boolean truth table. Remember we talked about with and or, what happens is you have an expression that has to be evaluated called P. And another expression needs to be evaluated called Q. So the P expression could be if X is greater than 5, okay? And then if Y is less than 6. If P holds true, and then we have an and Q holds true, P and true yields true, okay? If we have a P condition expression where it yields true, and a Q condition that holds false, true P and Q, which would be true and false, will yield false, okay? Then if we have a P condition that's false and a Q condition that's true, false, which is P, and Q, which is false, all right? So false and true yields false. But then if we have a P condition that's false and a Q condition that's false, P and Q, false and false, yields false. Okay, so that's something you're gonna have to understand when you write code. But then you have or. Or has its own way of operating. So look at this, P or Q. And if we had P greater than 5 or Q less than 6, and if P was true and Q was true, P or Q yields true. Because what? Only one has to be true in one side has to be true in the or. In the and, both sides had to be true. So we need to remember that. All right. Now, true or false still yields true because what? At least one side is still true. False or true still yields true because what? Still one side is true. But false or false will yield to be false. All right. And if we look back at our notes, it talks about the not. All the not does is reverse all of the logic, all right, that you have for that condition or that expression. Example, let's look at this, okay? Notice we have here, if letter is equal to A, or letter equal B, or letter equal C. So what that's saying, I'll have to compare this to this, and I'll get what? P or Q, right? So that could be true or false. If that's true, that will yield true. But then I have to have this combined to be true, but then or this. So, but really, if any one of them is true and everything is or, it automatically makes it what? True. Okay? Right? So if any letter here is typed in, it'll automatically make that true. Okay? Now watch. Let me let's just type something in here. So we got it to where we have to put in a number, and I'll just comment this out, so we won't be entering any information for them. Missed it. All right. So I'm gonna input an insurance value that's gonna be between 10 and 30. Then it's gonna ask me for a letter code. And if I put A, B, or C, I could put something like C out, and I'll put and I'll just put something like that. Thanks for entering a valid code. All right. So let's run this. But what? If I put in any one of these letters, it's gonna automatically work. So if I run it, hopefully my arrows are out. So if I put in what? I could put in 20. 20 is greater than 10, and 20 is less than 30. So it's gonna fall into here, and it should ask me to put in a what? Enter a code. So now, if I put in anything other than A, B, and C, it's gonna give me what? Invalid error code. Remember? Invalid code. But if I put in A, B, or C, it's gonna say thanks for inputting a valid code. So let's put in B. All right. See, thanks for inputting a valid code. All right. So watch this. If I put and, I'm really somewhat changing my logic altogether, because what? Letter cannot be A and B and C at the same time. And I'm asking if letter is equal to A and B and C, right? It's not equal to all three of those. So it's gonna give me the error. So when I run it this time, right, I'll put in 20 again, and I'll put in A. It's gonna be wrong. You understand? An invalid code has been entered. Because what? When I ask if letter equal to A, yes it is. Okay, this is and. Letter equal to B, false. So true and false yields false. And then what? Letter equal to C, false. So false and false yields false. All right? So it made the whole thing false based on how I wrote my program using those logical operators. All right? But it can be done to where I could say if letter is letter is equal to A, and I could say and I'll change this and watch what and I'll do this. I'll say insurance greater than or equal to, and that should be a value. I'll say what? I'll say 25. All right. So if it's the letter A and insurance is greater than or equal to 25, and I'll just take the last part off, because it could be long as you want, and this or this, whatever. So now, if the letter is A and the insurance is greater than 25, it's gonna say thank you for inputting the valid code. Otherwise, it won't. Even if I put in a valid code here, when I put in a valid code at this point, say I put in say 15, then it's gonna ask me to no insurance. I put in a valid insurance value. Oh, it's over. Class is over. All right, class. Put in a valid insurance, and then I come in here of 15, and I put a valid code of A. The first part, letter equal A, true, and insurance greater than 15, false. You understand? So it's gonna fall down and do the false. So when I run it, I'll put what I got. Okay, and what's wrong? Why? What he did with insurance? Why? Okay. Insurance is not in the scope. Why is it? I got a situation with the scope. Oh, I'm gonna have to do this. I'll cut this, and then we'll end class. I don't want to go too long. All right, and we'll paste this, and now I run it. And the scope, we talked about the scope for the, what is it say? What's that? Insurance. Not declared in this scope. I'll put it on here. Insurance should be global. Flow insurance. That should work. I'm gonna have to check it out. All right, class, I'm gonna work with this. All right. So let me see who all still in the session if I can see. All right. But what I want you to do your assignments, turn your assignments in. And like I say, email me. Like I say, if you have issues, the assignments I think I'll do by the night or tomorrow night, one of the nights I made them due by. And so just do your assignments and make sure every week you sign the roll. And like I said, I'll try to keep your grades posted, grade your assignments so you'll see where and what you missed. All right. So so like I said, and review. Make sure you review all of the videos, okay? Because they'll help you with your programs also. All right. So stay safe, and I'll be talking to you. All right. Okay.